You know, it's been a sad few couple of days for me. I got some really bad news just a couple of days ago. It was the news that I thought could happen, but I really hoped wouldn't. And that was that one of my favorite shows that I've literally watched my entire life was canceled after just one season. So I love The Family so much. I don't know why it has become like, so important to me or something that I really love, but I do. And as I've said before in my videos, I'm not sponsored by anyone. I just genuinely love this show. A lot of you guys told me that I should watch it, so I started watching a little bit late. And when I did, I loved it so much. I was binge watching the first few episodes and then I caught up in real time. And every week I felt like each episode was amazing. There weren't any filler episodes. They weren't slow. And there was a pretty big reveal in every episode. There's so much more to this mystery that we don't know after watching season 1. And I'm so sad thinking that we may never know it. But I do have hope that there will be a new life for the family. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. But first we need to talk about the finale of season 1, which seriously was one of the best finales of any show I have ever watched ever. Thumbs up if you agree with me. I just thought it was that epic. So we started out getting a lot of flashbacks of Adam and Ben underground. And for the past few weeks, I've been pretty sure, 90% sure, that Ben was our main villain here. But as I started watching this episode, I started to feel sorry for him and started to think that, you know what? Maybe I was wrong. Maybe he's really just a victim. But I got pretty conflicted as the episode went on. So Detective Clements made that fake phone call to his husband to say that he was just taking some time off, and he made a reference which was very helpful, and thankfully Nina caught on. He said he just wanted to lay low for a while. So she figured out that he's probably underground somewhere. This was very, very helpful in her being able to find him and to find Doug and to start unraveling this mystery. So Doug's decided that Jane and him and the baby need to move to Canada to get away from all of this, and Jane has promised Detective Clements that she will call police when she gets to Canada so that someone will come help him because, he has a lot of injuries from his time down there in this shed. So, unfortunately, Hank is back to his old ways. We learned in last week's episode that he was no longer taking his treatments on the road to becoming a eunuch, and he's trolling for young boys again, and one boy has like a little bike accident, and he asks for a ride, and he takes him home, and it's very tempting to him, and he almost does something that he shouldn't do, but he kept the boy's scarf, and it was really creepy. And I think if we do see more episodes of this show, we will see Hank go down that very wrong road again and get himself into more trouble once again, which is sad because he had really come such a long way. So this is when it starts really picking up. Well, first of all, I thought one of the more special moments of this episode was when Claire decided to go down into that underground area where her son had been kept for all those years, just to maybe feel closer to him, because at this point she's 100% sure that not only that he's dead, but that Ben was the one who killed him. So she goes down there, and it's a police crime scene, and it's been marked off, but she starts to think that she's seen young Adam, and he's talking to her and telling her a little bit about what was going on, and that was just a very, very touching moment. So we learned more about what happened with Ben and Adam down there, and we learned that Adam was really the one pushing to try to get them out of there and had the idea to come try to escape through the top instead of, breaking away all of the bricks like they had been working on. And it seemed like Ben was going to go along with the plan. So one day when Doug comes down, Adam attacks Doug. He tries to strangle him with the chain, but Ben was supposed to help, and he just kind of stood there frozen. And at that point, I felt pretty sorry for him because I just felt like he was so traumatized and so scared. He didn't know what to do. He didn't know how to react. And I felt like when he told the Warrens that he killed or that he had a part in hurting Adam, he meant that, maybe he didn't stick up for him in this moment, because Doug ends up fighting back and he hits Adam in the head and he has a terrible wound. And at that point, I made up my mind that Doug was the one who murdered Adam, and this is what happened to him, and that is kind of what sealed his fate, and that's when he took him out of there. But if you remember, Ben told a different story about when Adam got sick right before he died. He said that he had some kind of illness and he was shivering and he wasn't eating, and Doug took him out at that point. So I think we really have to analyze if that story was even true after seeing this flashback. So Nina is able to find Clements, which is absolutely wonderful. But the bad thing is that he cannot identify Doug as part of this because he had never seen him face to face. It had always been Jane. One of my favorite parts of the episode was finding that someone had shot Doug, and it turns out he was shot in the groin. And that made me so happy. I kind of thought that that would happen. He definitely deserves it. So it was great that she found him there in the woods with a gunshot wound. thumbs up if you were happy for that, because I definitely was. So Danny finally learns the news that who he thought was his brother is not actually his brother. Ben comes clean and tells him he's not Adam, and he really didn't take it very well at all. He actually took it harder than I thought. So I really got the impression that Jane was the one who shot Doug, but I will let you know that it's pretty much been confirmed, or maybe you figured it out for yourself, that, well, if I do this now, I'm going to spoil the ending, even though you know it. But I will say that it wasn't actually Jane who did it. I'll tell you who it was in just a little bit. So, we have a lot of drama with Willa and Bridie. So Bridie comes to Willa. She's like, you know what? I've got this story. I found Ben's mom. I'm going to go with it. It's going to be exclusive. It's a big deal, but I wanted to give you a chance to give me a statement. I wanted to come with you first before we ran the story. She's like, you know what, Bridie, let me tell you, I can do something better for you, because this is just going to be one story. It's not going to help your career that much. It's not going to make you like a really famous journalist. But if you decide not to run the story, I will give you exclusive access to everything that's going on in politics and with the state, because her mom is becoming governor. So she would get the inside scoop. She would get stuff that no one else got, and she could have continuous stories coming out. And so Bridie thinks about it, and she actually quits her job because she feels like that's the better idea, and she decides not to run the article, which later we'll find out was a very stupid mistake. So, Nina goes to Doug's house, and they search it. They can't find anything, but they realize that the dog is being kept away from that shed area that they have at their house, like in the city. And they figure out that there are remains buried in Doug's yard. So immediately we all assume that this is Adam, and it kind of closes the story up for me. And at first I was like, well, all of this is kind of coming together and ending, even though when they shot it, of course, they didn't mean for it to be a series finale. So I was kind of like, well, you know, if it's going to end, then at least there's not a whole lot more to kind of wonder. Everything's kind of wrapping up. And I thought that was a little bit strange, because like they shot it thinking that they would have more seasons. But of course I was wrong, and I was so happy to be wrong. So they figure out that it wasn't actually Adam's remains. It was a boy who was reported missing before Adam. And I think that there was some conversation between Jane and Doug about a boy that she was aware of. So apparently he either killed him or he died from starving or something. But how bold of him to bury him on his own yard. I mean, that's beyond creepy. So Ben ends up running away because he realizes everyone's mad at him, especially Claire. And Claire and Willa go find him, and they have decided that they're just going to accept him as part of their family and just move on with their lives. And of course, this is something that Ben wants to hear. Again, we're kind of wrapping everything up, so I was a little bit confused. So we're ending the show. We just have a few minutes left, and I'm not really sure where it's going to go. And I'm kind of feeling like, well, if it's ending now forever, well, you know, they're wrapping all this stuff up. And I know it was supposed to end with a cliffhanger. And I was like, is it going to be a cliffhanger with Hank about abusing kids again? Or is it going to be kind of lame or what? I was kind of, you know, concerned, but not that concerned, because I was like, well, the show's been canceled. So if it goes down a bad path, oh, well, then it would be like, well, okay, that was the right decision. So we see, like, I guess her mom's being sworn in at this point, Claire, and Willa is standing there, and she starts having these really strange flashbacks, kind of about in the woods, kind of the same area where we had Doug and Detective Clements, and you see Bridie is in a ditch of sorts, and she is dead. I immediately think that Willa has murdered her, but let me say that I was shocked. I was tweeting out that I was freaking out. That was so shocking. I never in a million years thought Bridie was going to die or be murdered, and I don't think anyone could have seen that coming. But I want to know your thoughts on it, because in the live chat that we had this week about the show, a lot of people had different thoughts about what actually happened to Bridie. Some of you think that Danny killed her. Some of you think that Danny and Willa worked together, and maybe some of you think that someone else killed her. You know, I just feel like it has to be kind of Willa or Danny or both of them, because who else would have the motive? But I would love to hear what you think. I immediately went with Willa as the murderer, because we know she's willing to do anything to protect her mom, to protect the future of her mom in government, because maybe her mom wants to be president one day. I don't know, but I still think it's probably her. But I'd love to know what you think. But, wow. That wasn't it. I thought that was our cliffhanger moment. I thought that was what the people involved with the show have been tweeting and promoting for so long, and I was going to be pretty happy with that, because that's a pretty big deal. And I was like, wow, the show's going to take that turn where they've got like all these secrets, and now the sister's probably a murderer and just all this crazy stuff. But we see Jane and the baby and some man or guy leaving, and they stop at like a gas station, And I was like, who is this? You know, very strange. And you see, I'm actually getting chills talking about it right now. You see this person get out, and immediately there's a big clue, which should have let all of us know who it was. They have a big scar on the back of their head. And of course, we saw that flashback with Adam's massive injury. And I started literally freaking out at this point because I know that Jenna Bans had told someone in an interview that there was absolutely no way that Adam was alive, and I'd always wanted him to be alive. And he walks into the store and he picks up the phone, and we pretty much know at that point he is alive, but wait for it. He makes a phone call to his family's house. Everyone's like really busy and, you know, loving the fact that Ben's in their family, and they don't have time to answer it. So Ben has to grab the phone, and he's like, look, I know you've stolen my life, and I'm coming to take it back. And that's how it ends. How epic was that? How sad are we all going to be if we never see what happens next? It's such a fantastic show. But I want to know this. I thought for sure that Ben had known the whole time that Adam was alive and just wanted to steal his life and didn't want to tell anyone. However, what do you guys think? Do you think this was the first time he found out he was alive? Because obviously Ben and Doug have some sort of arrangement, some kind of deal, some sort of relationship, because they've met twice and it's been weird, and especially in the park, they seemed way too comfortable with each other. So I'd love to know your thoughts on what is Ben's deal? Is he 100% a victim? Is he 100% a villain? Is he both? And does he know about Adam? Because Adam seemed pretty angry. You know, I mean, I just feel like he had to know that he was still alive, and Adam knows that he knows that. So love to hear what you think about that. But I want to mention something very important. There was a petition started by someone last week so that we could get the word out about getting other networks to pick up this show. And I put the link to that down below. It's on change.org, so it's super easy for you to sign your name, sign up. You know, it takes like a minute. I've been tweeting it out a ton, so if you would do that, that would be awesome. We really can't just stop talking about this show after this week, you know, just because there's a lot of hype about it right now because of the finale and everything. But if no one talks about it, you know, after this week, then networks are less likely to pick it up. So I'm so hoping that, you know, Netflix or Hulu or Amazon Prime or somebody will pick it up, or maybe even ABC will decide to renew it. They can do that. There have been several shows that have been picked up again after they were canceled. So it's totally not a lost cause for you to get the word out, to sign the petition, to tweet out the petition. As of making this video, it has around 10,000 signatures, so as many as we can get is going to be great. There's really no limit. We want to just keep getting more and more and more to get attention drawn to the show, to let other networks know this is a really popular show that's worth being saved. So I would really appreciate that. Again, I didn't start the petition, but I'm so passionate about this show that I want everyone to sign it. If you haven't, the link is down below. Literally takes no time at all. I just want to thank you so much for being a part of this experience with me on Kellie TV with the family, and to let you know that of course if it's renewed, I'll be here doing videos, but even if not, I still cover a lot of other similar shows, investigative shows, so please stick around and subscribe if you haven't, if you're new here, because you probably watch some of the other shows I watch, because a lot of them have a similar theme. But I love you guys so much, and I will see you very soon on some of my other shows. Bye guys.